Brad, just a couple days ago, we had Dayton from the Docking Bay 77 podcast. He joined us. We got to talk about our first documentary, which was The Decline of Western Civilization, The Metal Years
Hmm.
by Penelope Spheris. Great episode, great fun, right?
Hmm.
Well,
Always great fun to talk about great metal music like that.
it is. And you know what? It was great to finally talk about a documentary. So great, in fact, I want to talk about another one. I want to talk about a film by Stacey Souther, his 2019 documentary short, Valerie. And Brad and listeners, we have a very special treat because we're not just going to talk about it, we're going to talk about it with the director. Stacey will be joining us today. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to A Film by Podcast. I am Jeff Johnson,
I am Brad Kozo.
and we are honored today to be joined by filmmaker Stacey Souther. Stacey, welcome and hello.
Hey there, guys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
We definitely appreciate you being here. We are excited to talk about this documentary short. We're very excited to talk about the subject matter, the lady of the hour, Miss Valerie Perrine, or as you mentioned, the divine Miss Perrine. I love that. I love that. That was great.
I don't know who tagged her with that. I mean, when I say tagged, I'm talking about the 70s. That was one
Mm-hmm.
of the nicknames. It was either the Divine Miss Perrine or the Clean Miss Perrine.
Ooh.
But the Divine Miss Perrine is way cooler, I think.
Well, Stacey, if you've listened to even one episode, our whole thing, we like to talk about some of our favorite directors, but more importantly, we like to talk about their underrated stuff, so that people need to see certain films, great films that they might not hear about. This is a treat for us getting to talk with the director. This is the first for us, so we're excited, right, Brad?
Oh yeah, I mean, we finally get to interview somebody.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you, guys. I appreciate this.
Now, Stacey, how did you get your start in the business?
Well, way back when in 1999, before Y2K was going to hit, I
Mhm.
decided I better, I'd always wanted I'd always loved films, right? Like TV, movies growing up, that whole latchkey kid of the 70s. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just loved TV and movies. Like that was my life. And I always wanted to act, but I was from kind of a big small town in Georgia. And, it wasn't really something that was like real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I went through like a big breakup, and I kind of thought, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? I was, like 25 or something. And I thought, you know what? Why don't I go to California and try to be an actor? Like do the Brad Pitt thing, go out there, have no acting experience, find a great teacher, and then kind of see what happens. And that's kind of what I did. I didn't want to be 75 and say, what if? So I went ahead and came out here to be an actor.
Very inspiring. Brad, you're Brad, that's kind of similar to your
I
story.
mean, yeah, I mean, pretty basically the same boat. Just 1 year after, I basically was doing the exact same thing. Small town, Jeff can tell you, from small town in Cincinnati, came out here and tried that thing. Thanks to Ben Affleck and Matt Damon for thinking just anybody can do it, but they just can't. um, but yeah, enjoying that world. And then, I mean, I'm assuming your interest shifted more to the filmmaking way, which is similar to myself as well. So what made you want to go turn into be making films instead?
David Arquette threw me into filmmaking.
Oh, okay.
I knew nothing about filmmaking. I'd never picked a camera up. Like that was not anywhere in my mind. And what happened was actually about 10 years ago, Valerie had a 70th birthday party, and there were like all these older celebrities and people that were just close to her. And one of our dearest friends was dating David back then, and now they're married and have kids and everything. And this idea kind of came up. I introduced him to somebody that I knew from my hometown that had moved out here, and for the kid's 9th birthday, he wanted to direct Wicked. He loved musicals. He had been to all these musicals, and his mom moved him out here. Well, they moved out here to pursue his acting. And for his 9th birthday, he wanted to direct Wicked with kids in it. So that was like this thing, and kind of mentioned it to David and Christina. Was his girlfriend then. And a couple of days later, they said, "Hey, they called me up and said, why don't we shoot something and see what we get? Maybe it'll be a documentary, maybe it can be like a series or something." And they're like, "We want you to shoot it." And I was like, "Wait, what? No, I don't know how to use a camera. I don't." And then they said, "No, David's going to let you use his camera. He'll teach you how to do it. It's really easy." And I literally got thrown into shooting, and I had to ask one of my legit filmmaker friends, a big director friend of mine, was like, "How do I use this camera?" And he showed me like a basic thing, and I literally just kind of got thrown in, and I kind of had a knack for it, like an eye of, I was kind of aware of what was going on around me. So I just, kind of had a little bit of a natural ability, I guess.
Yeah. So you didn't have a cinematographer. You had to shoot yourself.
Yeah, with that thing, I literally shot all that stuff myself, and nothing ever happened with that. But then what happened was, I can get into Valerie stuff if that's how it all happened. Because for years, Valerie was going to do a book, and it wasn't happening. And I kept saying, somebody should do a documentary about you. And this is before streaming and everybody was doing docs and all that. This was, I've been saying this for like years. And so what happened was Valerie was going to have brain surgery for her Parkinson's. And I knew like this is a one-time moment. So I borrowed a camera because at this point now I knew how to shoot. And that's how the documentary started.
Okay. Brad, he mentions David Arquette. So something that'll surprise you, because I know, between us, I was the wrestling fan. So I remember the night David Arquette wins the world title on Nitro. Brad, we've talked about that documentary, You Can't Kill David Arquette.
I have never seen it.
Yeah. I told you, I was like, "Oh, you got to see it. It's crazy. It's awesome." We're talking to the producer.
Oh,
I mean,
I was one of the producers of that. Yeah.
Yeah. That,
okay.
Not to shy away from Valerie, but
no.
Real quick, how did that happen with you and David? Were you guys lifelong friends, or just, how did you get to where you're producing?
How did I get into that squared circle? Isn't that what
Yes.
Yeah. Well, no, again, Valerie's two best friends, these, their names are Mary and Shelley, and one of them has a daughter named Christina, and that's who David was dating, and who he ended up marrying, and they have kids and everything. I mean, I can tell you the gist of it. Like, we're like family, so that's how I got in with David and all that. And so I would just be over there a lot, and I started kind of shooting things and helping them with stuff. And then one day, they wanted me to go. I went to WrestleMania with David, and he literally comes about it. They just wanted me to kind of shoot some stuff, and I'm like, all right, whatever. And while he picks me up, and as we're driving to the thing, I'm like, he's telling me something. I'm like, well, what are we shooting? What are we doing? He's like, oh, you don't know? And I was like, no. It's like, oh, here's a deck. Here's like a sizzle. I want to really learn how to wrestle and earn the respect of the community and the wrestlers. And, that's the one regret I have of my life, is like not really wrestling. And so that's how it kind of started. And I just kind of was around, and, I'm in the documentary. I'll pop up a few times in it. Yeah. I mean, it was all about David's, we've seen the documentary, so,
Yeah, absolutely.
But this life-altering thing happened, and he thought to himself, oh, I've done all these things. I've done all this amazing stuff. I don't have any regrets. I've had these beautiful children. I've had a great life. but that wrestling thing, and that's kind of how it started. And he literally, I heard the idea, I was like, this is pretty crazy. And then literally within months, he dropped like 50 pounds. He went to Mexico and learned how to, he wrestled with luchadors.
Yeah,
And
Lucha Libre. Yeah.
it was crazy. And then, he almost gets killed. Like I was there when that happened with
Yeah.
Luke Perry, the whole thing. It was bananas.
That's wild. You talked about growing up in the 70s, being that latchkey kid. I got to ask, because I know Brad and I have our favorite filmmakers. What about you? Like what filmmakers inspire you? What filmmakers have inspired your work, would you say?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I love the films of like 60s and 70s, just, because that was a whole time when the industry totally changed. There's just so many. Have you ever read that book, Easy Riders, Raging Bulls? Aha, there it
First
is.
edition.
Yep. So
Love
like,
it.
like everybody in that book, I love everybody's work and everybody it talks about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just was a lover of movies. I mean, I remember seeing, like The Outlaw Josie Wells when I was
Ooh.
probably like 4.
Mhm.
I remember seeing, because when we were kids, like there was The Late Show. And
Mhm.
for some reason, I don't know if it was just me or everybody was like this. Your parents kind of, they made sure you were alive and whatever, but you didn't really have like a lot of rules, like
Yeah.
I remember being like 4 years old. I'd go to bed whenever I wanted. I'd stay up late, literally. I'd stay up
Mhm.
watching a late movie. So I just loved all the movies of the 60s and 70s. I mean, Midnight Cowboy, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest,
Ooh,
any
yeah.
of those kind of films. I loved all that stuff. And then you get into the 80s and come on, then we have our Back to the Futures and ETs and all that. I don't know if I have like a director that really influenced me so much or anything. I mean, any of those guys, the
Mhm.
Scorseses, the Spielbergs, any of those guys. I mean, I think anybody that's of our age, and they influenced everybody,
Yeah.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
there's just that piece of uh, there's just nostalgia. You think back to your being a kid, and those movies really stick with you. I mean, come on, E.T. I mean, that was such a great movie, or Indiana Jones, or Back to the Future, any of those things.
Mhm.
It's in our DNA. So I don't
Yeah.
really have any specific person that influenced me, because again, I also I fell into this. I didn't study to be a filmmaker. I don't. I guess I'm doing it okay.
I would say you are, but based on what I've seen so far, I would definitely have to say you are.
Mhm.
Listen, you're actor, director, producer. Let's you mentioned how the documentary came about. She was wanting to write a book. You saw your chance. Can we get a little bit into the film's background? Like, can you walk kind of share with us like the production?
Yeah. I shot everything myself. I was literally a one man. It was just me. I I kind of would figure out who all she knew. I kind of had I had a list of people, so I would, if I could get to them directly and ask them if they would do an interview, I would. Or this is the hardest part for me,
Mm-hmm.
reaching out to the PR person or try to get an agent of, somebody like Dustin Hoffman. Like I tried
Yeah.
every way in the world to get
Oh
Dustin,
gosh.
even people that like knew Dustin. And
Mhm.
I still never got him. I don't know if he ever saw anything that I sent or that other people sent. But just those phone calls, I felt that those were just, I dreaded those. But, I got, I was very fortunate. I got a lot of really great people. I got Jeff Bridges. That was a fluke. That was,
Bridges is fantastic in the doc.
oh,
I
he's
mean, love him.
amazing. Oh, hey, this
You
is
get
stuff.
two people from WKRP in Cincinnati. Two.
Yeah,
The
no,
two best ones too.
Oh, totally. No, I was so lucky and fortunate to get everybody. But with Bridges, I was like, okay, how do I get Jeff Bridges? And his assistant sent her a little message of who I was, what I was doing, and it was about Valerie. She got right back to me, like literally, like maybe the next day. She's like, well, let
Wow.
me talk to Jeff. He's doing a movie right now, so he's not around. I'll get back to you. I was like, okay, great. Some time went by because it was the holidays. She got back to me and she's like, okay, Jeff will do it. I need you to be here at this time, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. So I went to his house. Like she
Okay.
literally, I went to his house and interviewed Jeff Bridges in his like recording studio. So
That
that was
is,
bananas.
it's incredible. I mean, and the people that you do interview for the documentary, I mean, it's a major who's who. Clearly Valerie is loved and respected in the business. I mean, Brad mentioned we're from Cincinnati, so WKRP in Cincinnati. We grew up on that. We loved it. You're talking to Lonnie Anderson and Howard Hessman,
Yeah.
which was awesome. Angie Dickinson, Richard
Richard
Donner.
Donner. Yeah.
Yeah.
When Sarah Douglas showed up, I was like, oh, he got Ursa. This is awesome. Yeah,
Mhm.
but so many amazing voices that you captured on this thing, and they clearly adore her.
Yeah.
The stories that they shared were very touching, I thought.
Oh yeah. I mean, again, like everybody you just said, I mean, I felt really lucky to get all those people. And again, it wasn't me. It was because the love and respect they have for Valerie. That's why they
Yeah.
wanted to participate, and just, talk about it. A side note, I mean, we can talk about this later, but after I would shoot, if I shot Jeff Bridges or Lonnie Anderson, afterwards I would show Valerie that footage because she does have Parkinson's, and
Hmm.
I figured that I didn't think about it at the time, but it was kind of like a rehab in a way, just to hear these people that you respect and that have so much respect for her, to just say all these great things about her. I think that not that she was down and depressed or anything, but again, just
Hmm.
Mhm.
something to bring you back, to remind you who you are and how much you mean to people.
Well, I think one of the things um, that moved me with your film, seeing a real, like, this is what Parkinson's looks like.
Yeah.
It was a very very honest representation. But what's amazing is just her positivity. Her demeanor. I mean, I'm watching it and I still see, I still see the Valerie that I grew up with, and her message, when she says, whatever life gives you, you have to fight. She's just courageous in this thing, and she's still, like, after all these years, she is still just unbelievably adorable.
Mhm.
I thought you captured that side of her just perfectly,
Yeah.
honestly.
And
Oh,
it seemed to me when you were interviewing all the people talking about her, it didn't seem like you really had to like pull a lot of strings to be like, hey, can you talk about Valerie? It seemed like they were very willing and very much appreciative, not just her work on whatever they worked on her with, being around set with her. It felt to me that they adored the person. It didn't seem, oh yeah, that was a great performance, or and stuff like that. It seemed like they really enjoyed just having her around. So there was obviously a kind of light that, is very rare with people. Some people just don't have that. And it seemed like she had it. Like, I thought it was very interesting when Richard Donner was talking about everybody always stayed late on the set of Superman when Valerie was there, when they didn't have to be there. Yes, of course she's gorgeous and,
yeah.
beautiful and, but it has to be more than that for you to stick around. And it just sounds like she's such a fun presence to be around. And I'm like, and I feel like that's why you were able to get some of these, we want to call them big, marquee names and stuff, because it sounded like they were very willing to talk about the fun times with her.
Oh, 100%. And you hit the nail on the head. The thing, yes, she's an amazing actress and all those things, and she's had this incredible life, but everybody that knows her, like really knows her, they talk about who she is inside, like her personality, just
Mm-hmm.
the whole, there was nobody else like her. Like literally,
Mm-hmm.
she walks in a room, she lights up that room. Every eye goes to her, and even if you didn't know who she was, it would still be the same way. She just has a special, it's not presence. There's this,
It's effortless. What I
it's like,
noticed that it was effortless. She just walked in. She didn't try. It's
Oh
just,
no,
this is just who I am.
yeah, that's it. It's exactly it. It's who she is, and that's
Yeah.
what I wanted to capture. I wanted to capture her spirit. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Um, and it's hard to do that. I mean, a movie, you're doing something about somebody, it can go different ways, but she loves the documentary, and she thinks, I did a good job, but she thinks I captured her spirit too. So if she's happy, I
Yeah.
was happy. But like you said, I can't tell you how many people that, because you lose touch with people, because it's, how it is. It's people think, oh, you're best friends because you did a movie with somebody 30 years ago, and you might not have seen them since then. But
Right.
it's just, for these people that didn't know she had Parkinson's, to just to show up, and they did it again. It wasn't because it was a movie, it wasn't anything like that. It was because of they respected her and they wanted to show their love for her.
Mhm.
Well, it's a fantastic documentary. I can't say enough good things about it. And clearly, like, I find it impressive, the fact that you pulled this off. It's kind of like a one man cruise from what it sounds like,
Oh yeah.
with limited experience. I mean, you kind of hit a home run here, right?
Mhm.
Your first at bat. I feel like, given, I know you were a producer on the David Arquette project, but this is your first directorial effort, correct?
Yeah, well, this
Okay.
also predates the David Arquette
Oh,
thing.
that's right. I'm sorry. Yes.
I started shooting this beginning of 2014.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was going to ask you how many years from pre-production to the finished film did this take? Because you go through quite a few years. So, like from the
Yeah.
beginning to when it was wrapped, how long did that take?
I started shooting it like January, February 2014,
Okay.
and I'd say probably the last little bit of something I might have shot would have been 2019, maybe into 2018, 2019, right there. Like, just something, I don't even remember what the last things were, but yeah, it took a long time. Which, again, I didn't have any kind of time frame. I wasn't in a hurry to do it,
Mhm.
and also, I'm telling you, one of the hardest things, if you do a documentary and you have to interview celebrities, it's tough to nail them down, because depending on who it is, they could be working all the time. Because there are certain
Right.
people that said, "I'll do it. Call me in 2 months. I'm going to be out of the country shooting a film." Then you call them in 2 months, and then they say, I'm going to do it, but I'm leaving again. I don't have time." So there were certain people that I chased for, months and months and months, and they finally did it.
Yeah.
But it just took time. But in the grand scheme of the film, it works out because you see uh, her illness as it progresses.
Yeah.
Which as some people don't, before I knew her and this happened to her, I didn't know anything about Parkinson's. I just knew it.
Mhm.
I thought, this made people like shaky. I didn't
Mhm.
know all of the
We knew
other.
the Michael J. Fox version,
Yeah, yeah,
which I don't know if it painted the best picture because, he was still working a lot. He he kind of joked at it with things, on like Curb Your Enthusiasm, but you really didn't see, besides the shakes, a little bit of the downfall type of thing.
yep.
And as free as she was to kind of show you things that maybe she didn't have to, but the things on the arms and legs, I'm like,
Yeah.
man, she's being so free,
She's open about it, and
Yeah,
I find that fearless,
yeah.
about her. One thing I would ask you, Stacey, because we do get that happy epilogue in the doc. She's currently stable. How's Valerie doing right now? Like, how's she been lately?
She's good. I mean, Valerie Perrine isn't like anybody you've ever known or will ever know. Everything about her is,
Yeah.
she's the one person that defies odds. It's incredible. I mean, again, you've seen a little piece of her life through the film. I mean, come on. The whole Japanese thing, the emperor came and they paraded around the streets of Japan, the
That was
Vegas.
amazing.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, again, her life is. Here's what I like to say: someone would have to create a character to have the life that she's had, and if we could have 5% of the life she's had, we would be on cloud nine. We'd be like, oh, I'm in heaven. This is the best life ever. And she's just done so many things, and it's just a storied life.
Absolutely. And Brad, you and I were talking earlier about just her presence when she's on the talk show circuit.
Yeah. And we were basically saying that like nowadays, the talk show circuit is really only for you're promoting something that's about to come out, TV show, movie, or anything. But the 60s, 70s, they would have guests on that were entertaining. They talked about, their filmography, what they're doing in their life. They were funny. They were, people were glad to see them. There was a good back and forth between the hosts knew how to interview people, as opposed to today where they're asking Harrison Ford, what kind of ties do you wear? Who cares? He's Indiana Jones and Han Solo. We don't want to talk about ties. But that presence of taking the celebrity and, kind of showing more than just acting. And when I saw her acting, she talked a lot about, kind of like almost like kind of falling into it, just kind of getting into it, but being really good at it. And there's two types of actors. There's that actor that is, has to be trained and has to know the tools and stuff. And there are some people that are just very good emotionally, and they're able to take things and do them with that some people kind of can't explain, and you're like, how do you do that without, some people are just very emotional, and it can work that way. And it seemed like that was her thing, to just get herself in an emotional groove to be these parts. And it paid off, very well.
Oh, I'll tell you how she was literally discovered.
Mm-hmm.
After all the Vegas stuff, which you see in the documentary, I won't say anything to give anything up. She'd been in Vegas quite a while at that point, like 9 years or something like that. She was done with Vegas. She wanted to move on, and somebody said, you should go to Hollywood. You're really pretty. You can probably get into commercials and make some money. She moved out here. She was broke. She was at a dinner party, and I mean like a small, like 6 people type thing, not a big party. She was on the phone with her boyfriend at the time, and I want to say his name was Lalu, and he was something with the Doobie Brothers.
Okay.
I don't know if he was a manager, it was something, but she was on the phone, and she was just Valerie, but she was very funny and quick-witted and sharp, and there was a manager there, an agent. It was an agent, and he heard her on the phone, and he said, who's that girl? And they were like, oh, that's Valerie. He goes up to her and he says, she's told me 2 different ways, but he was like Montana Wild Hack, from
Slaughterhouse.
Mm-hmm. But he was like, what? He was like, are you an actress? She goes, no. It's like, do you want to be? She's like, Valerie, who she is, like her kind of bohemian hippie thing. She's like, sure, whatever. And then he's like, do you have any headshots? And she said, no, but I have this. And of course, it was a topless photo from her in Vegas. So she gave that to him. He took that to the head of casting at Universal Studios, because they were trying to find somebody for Slaughterhouse-5, and they couldn't find a girl. And they'd gone through like everybody in Hollywood. And the casting director had a toothache. She went to the dentist. She took all this pile of photos with her, so she could still work. She comes across Valerie's topless picture. And the guy sitting next to her is like, who the hell is that? Exactly. So here's the best part. They call her in for an audition to read. And you're supposed to wear like a 2-piece bathing suit. She didn't own a 2-piece bathing suit because she'd been in the south of France for 6 months before this.
Wow.
Beaches are topless. So she wore in like some Vegas gear she had, and the boobs were cut out. So she was literally topless. She goes into the audition, and either the girls are sticking their chests out or they're shy. Valerie was so used to being topless from being a showgirl. It's like being in a locker room with other guys. It's like it's not a big deal if you're showing some skin. And George Roy Hill was like, she was the most natural person, and that's how she got the role. And another side note is, I think there was a producer or the casting person wanted their girlfriend to get the role. And so that person was giving everybody bad direction. Valerie
Wow.
didn't know any better, right? She didn't know about
Mhm.
acting. And Monique James, that was the head of casting at Universal, she said, your audition tape was the worst thing we've ever seen. And oh, George Roy Hill even said it. That's what it was. Your audition tape was horrible, but you did one thing in there that was so natural. That's how you got the part. And then they said that they burned her tape because it was so horrible.
Oh, wow.
But a side note, how you were talking about how some people have, like a natural ability. She was on set for a few days, and this just shows the sound bell goes off the first day, to kind of start the day.
Mhm.
She was like, "What the fuck was that?" She didn't have no idea what a sound bell was, and they're like, "Oh, it's this." And after a few days of her working, Universal offered her a 7-year contract because she was just so good. And but they forbid her from taking any kind of acting class because they didn't want to mess up her what she had naturally. Because you could
Mhm.
tell her, especially and you see it when she works with all these really great directors, which she was really fortunate to work with, some of the
Mhm.
top directors ever.
Yeah.
You tell her what you want, she'll give it to you, and it'll be what you want, times 10. But if you gave her like bad direction, or give her like an acting uh, teacher might give her bad habits that she doesn't have. So she's never had an acting class or any of that stuff. She's 100% natural.
Well, we talked a little bit about Slaughterhouse-5. Let's get into her filmography a little bit.
Sure.
And I mean, this is an impressive list of work. I know I'd love to talk about every single project. I know we can't. We'll bounce around a little bit with you, Stacey, because I know you've probably got some great stories to share, and I definitely want to hear your thoughts on some of her performances.
Sure.
Slaughterhouse-5, 1972. This is her big break. Kurt Vonnegut, amazing novel, movie, one of the weirder movies I've seen. I mean, you have to appreciate the book, I think, to appreciate the movie. But even if you don't appreciate the movie, you have to appreciate what she does as Montana Wildhack, because like you mentioned, like the bell, and she's like, what was it? Her scene where she shows up on Tralfamadore. She's like a wildcat, at first. She's like a feral animal, but she's still just like, you can't take your eyes off her. She just has this amazing smile, these eyes. And you're right. Like, she just had, like, whatever she has, it's natural, and it clearly shows in this picture.
I think she's also in that film, and in life too. She's inviting. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like this is somebody you feel like if you just happen to be sitting next to her at a dinner party, you could turn around and you could talk to her, and she's totally going to talk to you and not be all like movie star weird or whatever. She's very approachable. But yeah, that movie, I think, because she had been like this kind of bohemian hippie, so I think
Mm-hmm.
like some of that was in that Montana Wild Hat part. But yeah, that
Yeah.
movie right there totally that kicked it off. Like, first thing, and then that movie goes to Cannes. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and just, for your first movie, and it's George Roy Hill, who
Yeah.
one of the
Yes.
biggest directors of the time, going Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Sting. I mean, Slapshot. I mean, that goes on and on. But for that to be your first director, I mean, come on, that's
That's
amazing.
huge, right? She does a couple TV movies over the next couple years, and then we talked a little bit about Jeff Bridges earlier. 1973, she does The Last American Hero. She plays Marge. Really cool movie because I mean, again, I'm a NASCAR guy, so seeing like the how it all came to be. Bridges is awesome in it, but she's incredible in it as well. Your thoughts, Stacey?
Yeah, no, I think she was great in that movie. It's weird because like you said, I think unless you're a certain age or you're a cinephile, a lot of people don't know that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But I mean, Jeff Bridges is great. I mean, it's got Gary Busey in it, and one of his.
Busey's in it. We love Busey.
Who doesn't love Gary Busey? Come on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But no, she's great in it, and her and Jeff had a lovely time on set.
Oh,
They
really?
had they had they had a crush on each other. We'll say that.
Okay.
That happens on movies.
Yeah,
It was the 70s. Come on. They were all doing it. Come on.
but I would ask her, I was like, what would you guys do? She's like, oh, Jeff is just so cool. He's such a nice guy. Like, we'd hang out and he'd play guitar and we'd drink tequila. And it's like, that's the kind of life I want. Come on, bring it on.
Mhm.
Yeah. Brad, you and I talked about Bridges when we did the Starman episode, and we kind of talked
Yeah.
about how he got that knack of taking a lot of photos on set and then giving photo books out.
Yeah.
If only he could have done that if he was doing that back then. I can't imagine some of the stuff he could have got from that picture.
Oh, I mean, I've thought about that too, because we have one of those photo books from when they did that other movie we were talking about earlier,
yeah.
The Amateurs or
The
the
Amateurs.
Moguls, whatever it's called. Yeah, like he'd given her one in that, and there's a couple of pictures of her and William Fichtner like before a scene. I guess because he tells me this. You don't see it in the documentary, but when I interviewed him, he tells me this, and I guess Fichtner, because they're supposed to be shooting this porn thing, and she's like in some sort of like nighty thing, lounging on the bed, and Fichtner's at the end of the bed because he's having trouble getting it up.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing photo of these two amazing photos of her and Fichtner. But yeah, I mean, if he would have been shooting that stuff in the 70s, come on, can you imagine him doing that on the Last Picture Show?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Amazing stuff. Brad, speaking of amazing, let's jump to 74. She plays Honey Bruce in Lenny.
I mean, not only a good performance, but the character of Lenny Bruce is not a nice guy. He's a very complicated, very, tough to be married to. And the kind of stuff that this character had to put up with, type of thing is like, I honestly watched the film just because it was a 70s film, but I had kind of started to like the Lenny Bruce character because I was watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and the characters on it. They paint him with a little bit more lighter brush on that show, a little bit more charming and stuff like that, where he's 70s raw in this film. And to see her have to deal with him, I mean, the struggles, and of course, probably the insane style of acting that Dustin Hoffman did. I'm like, kudos for her for surviving that shoot. But I mean, it definitely paid off. She talked about winning the award at Cannes for the Palme d'Or, and obviously the Academy Award nomination during what is considered, one of the greatest decades of cinema as far as acting and filmmaking and stuff. She stood toe to toe with the best, and when you watch the film, you see that in it, like you got to deal with a lot of these. And, she wasn't a big of name as, say, the Ellen Burstons, the Faye Dunaways, the Meryl Streeps and stuff, but she held her own, and, it shows. And to be able to see that, and because I had kind of forgotten or didn't know that she did receive the Academy Award nomination for that. So to go back and to see that, and she does a lot of face acting in that film. It's like, you got to read what's going through her mind. And what's usually going through her mind is, panic because of being with this guy who's just off the walls.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, because like we'll watch those things. I watch a lot of movies with Valerie, and we'll watch some of her stuff. And because I think it's just good to kind of go back and relive that a little bit. But when you start watching Lenny, when you first see her, it's that whole interview type thing, and she's sitting there and she's talking to, it's really Bob Fosse, we know, the interviewer. She's kind of eating a chip and doing things. It's so natural. You're like, how, like, it's so hard for an actor to look natural. To act natural, because it's not natural. But with her doing it, you can see she was just totally being herself and like really just being natural. like that's amazing. And the big thing was the the phone call scene.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part where when she finished that, I think that Bob Fosse might have said, that's going to get you nominated.
Mhm.
Oh
Like
wow.
that's the scene that, because I asked her before, I'm like, well, what? And she's like, it was the phone call scene. That's the scene that got me nominated. And I think again, she used what she had. I think Bob Fosse, because she had as you know from the documentary, she had a huge love of her life die a very tragic way, and
Yeah.
like she was gonna, she was engaged to that person, and I think that that's one of those things that always um, still is with her, like that
Mhm.
was
Mm-hmm.
this tragic thing, but she had a lot to draw from life, that's why those things also look so, her performances like that look so real. And
Mhm.
a funny thing is, I was going to try to use this in the movie, but I it was going to be a feature, and then I made it a short. But because I went through everything she owns, which is amazing because she had so many great archives. I found a bunch of cassette tapes. Luckily, I'm a hoarder, so I had a cassette tape player, that because you can't find stuff like that. It's really hard. So
Mm-hmm.
I went through every one of them. Oh, what's this? What's this? And it'll be answering machine things or whatever. This one I put in, all of a sudden I found gold. It's her on location in Miami in her hotel room. She's drinking alone, and it's like a literally like an audio uh, journal entry, and she's just talking. She's like, oh, she's drinking Southern Comfort, which she doesn't normally drink.
Mhm.
Like, whoo! She's like, God damn, how did Janis Joplin do this shit? And then she's talking about Dustin, and it's all great, it's all this great stuff. She's talking about like Fosse, and and he'll get into my head, and like this amazing like 45 minutes of the stream of consciousness of her. And I was like, oh, this is amazing, but I couldn't use it. But it's just an amazing thing just to have that, you know, to have that. Like, I digitized it, so it's like right here. It's like just
Mhm.
those little things are really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Brad, I know you recently just did another one of those Oscar snub specials. I'll go ahead and say it, like, because we talked about her being nominated for Lenny. Yeah, she's up against Ellen Burstyn, who won. Faye Dunaway's in the running. Gina Rollins, Diane Carroll. Brad, I'm gonna say it. Yes, Alice Doesn't Live Here. It's a great film, and Ellen Burstyn is amazing in it. But the Academy got it wrong. And Stacey, I know you would probably be seen as biased, but you got to agree with me, right? Between
Oh,
the two performances.
100%. I mean, Valerie won everything else that year. Literally, she
Yeah,
won. She won the BAFTA. She won, I think, the New York Film Critic. Like she
Golden
won.
Globe too, right?
What's that? She was nominated for a Golden Globe. I
Okay,
don't think
nominated, but okay, but
Golden
still, she's
Globe, but
yeah,
everything.
left and right.
Yeah, left and right, and she should have won. And I think what you one of the things they kind of said was they should have put her maybe in a supporting actress instead of lead or something. I don't know what they were
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
talking about, but no, her performance again, like you said, Alice Doesn't Live Here is a great movie. Ella
Mm-hmm.
Bernstein, like her performance was great, but what Valerie did, she went through like so many changes. You saw like
Mm-hmm.
so many different facets of this person, and it's not because I know Valerie. I would say it just if I,
Yeah.
from what film, she totally should have won.
Well, this
Mhm.
and seeing it, that's where everything I had seen her in, because I didn't see Lenny until not too long ago. I'm used to the bubbly, very funny, always vivacious Valerie performances, and this is like a very dramatic uh, performance she does. This is where I was like, my God, this woman is one hell of an actress. She's one hell of a performer, and she was right to be nominated, and it was wrong for them to not give it to her. That's where I stand on it, Brad.
And also in the documentary, she also seems to not really care too much. She's like, I went to Cannes,
Yeah,
I got
sure.
that, I got to go there. So what? I got to go to Hollywood down the street, and it was probably it was the '70s. It was probably a great party.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like she enjoyed it. But the best part, like you're talking about that scene in the doc,
Mhm.
that's what she literally, and this, I'm sure every actress, this is something they would kill for. She literally, she's like an Oscar, eh. She
Yeah.
literally shrugs it off, and I can just hear like, like all these young actresses, like, what? What do you mean? She's like, I got to work with Bob Fosse. That means something to me.
Yeah. Uh, let's jump to 78 because
Oh,
I got.
I want to throw one thing in. Sorry, I don't mean to
Oh,
interrupt.
sure. No, absolutely. Please.
Because if we go too far, we passed it. But I want to throw it in. Did you ever see Steam Bath, the PBS thing
I
with Bill
didn't.
Bixby?
The one that you showed at the beginning with Bill Bixby.
Bixby.
Yeah.
I want to see
No,
it now
I've never
because of what I
seen it,
saw.
but now after seeing that, yeah, I definitely want to see it.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I bring that up is Valerie was the first American actress to be topless on American television. She was the first actress to be topless on American television. Like she
That's
broke
wild.
the
Like
barrier. Like nobody had done that before she did it.
the look on Bixby's face, that priceless. That's what I was like. I can appreciate his expression. And I gotta see Steam Bath. I gotta, we just gotta find it, Brad. Get a copy of this so we can check it
And
out.
you can get it on. I just actually I'm going to watch it with Valerie tonight. Oddly enough, because I found a DVD of it on eBay, and
Okay.
it was like $20 or something like that. So you can find it. But a funny thing is, somebody wrote this in an article years ago or something. But they said every time that PBS was doing one of those membership drives, they
Yeah.
would always play Steam Bath.
Man, I gotta say real quick too, just how much I envy you. How casually you're just like, yeah, me and Valerie are gonna watch this movie later tonight. Dude, that's just it's incredible that I mean, obviously I know you guys are close friends, but do you ever stop and just think like, wow, I'm hanging out with Valerie Perrine? Like,
Yeah,
just,
I mean, it's. I mean, I mean, she's like my mother. I mean, that's
yeah.
like I make sure things are taken care of and all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, it doesn't escape me that I mean,
Mhm.
literally I've seen her every way you can think of seeing her, and good and not so good
Mhm.
things, with her being sick. But yeah, there's some times when I'm just we'll be watching something, and that's where it's weird because we watched Lenny not that long ago, and here you are,
Mhm.
like, watching this amazing performance and all this stuff, and then you kind of think it's like, oh yeah, she's right there beside me.
Yeah.
It doesn't I never forget it, but no, it's, I mean, without her, like, she changed my life, because if I didn't meet her, we met walking dogs in
Mhm.
2006, and we just became friends really, really fast from that. But if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have met David Arquette and Christina, and I wouldn't have been thrown into filmmaking. So this is
Mhm.
all not just her being the subject of the documentary, but it's literally because of her that I this whole thing got to move this way anyway. It's
Okay.
all
It's funny that you both kind of just fell into it. She fell
Yeah.
into acting, she's like, oh, I was a, Vegas dancer first. Then I would, and it's like you're just, well, I just kind of turned into it, and how you both just fell into it. And now that's just kind of how you are. And it's very endearing.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, no, I mean, again, like, I just want to say, like, I don't want to be cheesy or anything, but Valerie's my heart. Like,
Mhm.
if anything, she's like the first thing I think of. If something's coming, how will this benefit her? How will this, how can I make this bring more joy to her life or whatever, so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's the best. I mean, I wish you guys could meet her. You'd fall in love with her. Not that you're not already, but
Yeah.
fall in love
Yeah.
with her.
Well, speaking of falling in love with her, let's talk 78 through 80. She probably in one of her more well-known, more iconic roles. She plays Eve Teschmacher in Superman 1 and 2. Wow. Yeah. It's just I remember even, back then I remember thinking, I know I'm supposed to be crushing on Lois Lane and I'm supposed to be all for Lois Lane, but I can't. Miss Teschmacher, she is the go-to, and if you're gonna be choosing ladies, and and she saved Superman. Like, who else, what other character could say that in the Superman movies that Christopher Reeve did? She saved his life.
Okay,
And that could have been kind of almost a throwaway role. It could have been, just we need a pretty face. We need someone to look at. She holds her home with Gene Hackman and Ned Beatty, and I love her smart ass ability back and forth with him. She gives as much as she can take. So I think that's why that part, I think, stayed with me, definitely, and continued on into the second film and stuff. There's some great stuff in there, and she's a great comic relief, and to be able to have beauty and to have that comedic timing, that is rare.
Oh, no, 100%. She, like you said, I mean, that role could have just been kind of somebody more,
Yeah.
like you're saying, pretty face, kind of, I don't want to say airhead, kind of, not like the smartest thing. And she just brought like a humanity to it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that right? Humanity?
Yeah.
I would think so.
But she made it, like you said, she made it memorable. She made it memorable, and it just wasn't about her being in a low cut top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just absolutely sick.
she's not weak. That's what I was gonna say too. Somebody else could have been like more weak, and you see her like you said, she's holding her own, and it's like But my mother lives in Hackensack, and what does she do? Oh, I think I'm just gonna go save the guy who can save my mother. You have to save my mother first. You always tell the truth and all that. But like you said, she saved Superman. If it wasn't for her, there wouldn't have been a second movie. And she kisses Superman. She's the first person to kiss him and all that. So yeah, I mean, in as far as icons in the Superman universe, or the Christopher Reeve Superman universe, I mean, she's so iconic,
Yeah. And they tried to repeat that with Superman Returns with the Parker Posey character. And I'm just sitting there going like, this just doesn't work.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I don't know why there wasn't more of her in the second film, just more of the character, which is kind of weird because people are always like, well, whatever happened to her,
Yeah.
And I think too, look, what you were saying, like how Superman Returns, I think where they really tried to do that was Superman 3, where I don't know what the budget was, but Hackman wasn't in it. So they got somebody, oh, he's kind of like Hackman. Then I don't remember what the blonde chick was, but you literally see her in a red dress, damsel in distress on the Statue of Liberty. And it's like, wow, they're totally like ripping off Valerie's Miss Teschmacher with this knockoff, whoever she's supposed to
be. Yeah.
Well, we talked about her, her being a strong character. Superman 3, that actress played more of like the airhead, where Valerie never gave us that with Teschmacher. Something, Stacey, if I know we want to talk about some more of her movies, but real quick, if you'll settle a debate some of us were having.
Sure.
Eve Teschmacher, given what she does, she does save Superman, but given how she's introduced in the picture, is she a villainess, or is she a henchwoman, or is she just a femme fatale? Kind of like a Bond girl that could play both sides. What's your take on it?
I don't see her as a villainess. I think her thing is more, she's a good girl, but she ends up with the wrong kind of guy.
Yeah. She has that great line. Why, she tells Superman, why can't I get it on with one of the good guys? Yeah.
I mean, you can tell, like, that line right there is like her whole life. Like, she's a good person. Her heart's like made of gold, but she always gets in these situations with the guy that's not may not be the best for her. I mean, come on, you see Lex Luthor all through the thing. There's never anything, because that's the character of Lex Luthor, but you never see any kind of love or anything. It's
No.
like if there's a
Yeah.
complaint, if there's a complaint, it's like, how many girls do you know have a Park Avenue address like this? And then her, like you said, then her thing is like 200 feet below ground or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's always got an answer for his little shticks.
Yeah.
So Stacey, I know it was a small part. It was, briefly she's in the Cannonball Run in 1981, in one of the funniest moments of the film, I think. Any fun stories you can offer about her time on that? Because I know it's like she's probably in and out in one day.
Yeah,
but,
it was, that's literally it. She was there one day, and they didn't like the stuff she shot. She didn't shoot with any, like Bird or any of those other people. She knew all those people already, but her thing, again, it was like out in the middle of nowhere. So she didn't really have any interesting like little stories. She was in and out. So, but whenever that photo of her bent over video it gets put on, Twitter or whatever, there's a lot of likes, a lot of views.
The analytics shoot through the roof, I bet.
Oh, and I was going to say, when we're talking about Superman, just to take it back for 1 second, because again, we're that age.
Yep.
We were young. When Superman came out, 78. I was
78.
Yep.
I was 72, so I was like 6 or so. Seeing her again. I think that's guys our age. I think that was your first crush when you're like,
yep,
wow, this doesn't look like Mrs. Smith next door, whatever it is. Like, you understand, like, this. I love her. I don't know why, but I love this woman.
Yeah. You said it perfectly right there. I have a feeling for her, but I don't understand it yet because I'm still too young. But in 1982, we get another dramatic turn. She's in The Border with Nicholson.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't expect it. It's her, like, really dialing it up, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, that's it's another one's interesting movies that a lot of people don't know about it unless you saw it then or you're a cinephile now. But that movie, it holds up, especially now. What it's talking about is about immigrants and the border and everything. But yeah, with her with Nicholson, and then there's Harvey Keitel.
Keitel's in it. He's amazing in it. You would think, like, given things now, like that film was definitely relevant today. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't got a little bit of a resurgence over the past couple of years, aside from it just being a great film and great performances by Valerie, by Nicholson, by Keitel.
If only there was a podcast show that did underrated film.
maybe we'll have to look at that one, Brad. We'll have to look at that one. Stacey, this is one I haven't seen, so I'm going to ask you about it. 1985, she's in Water with Sir Michael Caine.
Yes, that movie. I think that was a big flop.
Yeah.
But she loved Michael Caine. They got along well, and she stayed in London. She lived in London for a few years after, around that time, and she was really good friends with Michael Caine and Shakira, his wife. So they were cool. They had a good time. I think she said Billy Connolly was crazy, a crazy man.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I don't remember a bunch of stories about that one. I know I can't remember where they shot, but it was kind of miserable because it was super hot and just those kind of things that make a film maybe not as fun as when you're shooting in New York or somewhere really nice.
Yeah. Now, over the next 10 years, it kind of seems like she makes the decision to do a lot more TV. Was that an informed decision by Valerie, or is it another reason why she made that choice?
Here's kind of what happened. I'm going to backtrack for a second, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Well, what happened was her her contract ended after 7 years. So around like 79, her contract with Universal ended. And all those great movies, pretty much, Slaughterhouse-Five,
Mm-hmm.
Lenny, Superman, those were all, she was loaned out for the best
Okay.
movie she did, because they
Mhm.
made all your decisions. They're like, okay, you
Yeah.
can do this or you can't do that. Because I think you guys were going to ask me about some things like maybe she wanted to do that she didn't get to
Yeah.
do.
Oh,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah.
She wanted to do King Kong with Jeff
With
Bridges.
Bridges. Oh, wow.
Like she really, really wanted to do that film, and Universal wouldn't let her do it,
Hmm.
and it made Jessica Lange a star.
Mm-hmm.
And another movie. This isn't. This was after her contract was over, but she was offered Body Heat, and
Oh,
Ooh, come on.
she
We
turned
could
it
have
down.
had Valerie.
Yes,
Oh man. Wait, so she turned it down?
completely different movie.
she turned it down because she was tired of
Oh,
all the sexy roles. Everything was
yeah.
always sex, sex with her,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah, she's a
just
sex symbol. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she was kind of like,
Okay.
I want to do something different because again, you read a thing, it might not, you don't know if it's gonna, if you don't know it's gonna be a big hit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't regret anything, but that's one thing she has a look. She's like, I wish I wouldn't have turned that down because that would have also changed her career. Because after that, like you said, she did The Border, and then what happened was she, because Valerie does what Valerie wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like, oh, I'm going to go live in Europe for a little bit. So she went and lived in like Rome for 2 or 3 years. She lived in England for a while. So she just kind of went off and did her own little thing and would do little, stuff here and there. Or that's why there's a few Italian films that she pops up in because she just happened to be there.
Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, so that's why her career got a little funny in the 80s and 90s. She literally kind of, oh, I'm just going to go do this. And when she needed money, she'd do a movie. And, in the long run, that hurt her career because later on she thought, oh, I'm going to go back to Hollywood and like
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And she goes back and it's kind of like they're like, Valerie, who? And that's what happened to her career. But same thing, she doesn't regret. I've asked her, I'm like, do you regret not, that you kind of did your own thing? Should you have been more serious with your career? She's like, I don't regret anything. She's like, I lived life the way I wanted to live life. That was good
Mm-hmm.
for my life. It might not have been so good for my career, but she doesn't regret anything.
Okay. Well, so she kind of comes back in the 90s, a little bit of a resurgence, smaller roles, boiling point with she's working with Dennis Hopper. She's worked with such an amazing group of actors, but now she's 93, she's with Dennis Hopper, she's with Wesley Snipes. Um the role of Mona, what, does she have any fun anecdotes about that one?
There is a fun little story. Like she knew Dennis already. Like
Hmm.
they were friends or whatever. But there's a scene because she has a photo of it on her wall, and it's her and Dennis in bed. But the way they had to shoot it was the bed is against the wall, so they're
Hmm.
standing up. So there's this
Oh,
really weird thing. You see them kind of laughing. Dennis has got this weird look on his face, like looking forward, and she's kind of being Valerie and laughing about something. And I think if you really see the shot, you see like a cam, you see like kind of the camera in the shot, like you can tell they're not like really laying down. But that's the way they had
Hmm.
to set it up. But that's the thing with Valerie, like that's one of the things with her. When she did Lenny, there was a lot of like, kind of clowning around, like with
Hmm.
Dustin and Bob Fosse. Like she had a lot of fun on that movie. But then after that, a lot of her movies were she couldn't joke around as much as she usually did. But that's why people love to work with her because they had such a good time because she was such a free spirit and fun and funny and all that.
She has when we're into the 90s now, she's doing this TV, she's doing more TV. She's got a role on ER, which surprised me, more so because of the director, Stacey.
Yes, the director of that ER episode just happened to be Quentin Tarantino because oh, he'd done some movies at this point. He'd written all these great scripts and done these great films, and he thought he wanted to challenge himself and do some TV. So why not do the hardest television show to film on at the time with, how many, like, what are there, like 100 people in every episode where they're running
and spitting off dialogue like bam, 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 bam.
And that medical dialogue. Come on, that
no way.
But yeah, Quentin Tarantino's first directing TV job was with Valerie.
I gotta say, aside from ER, like I think one of the lost opportunities that we had is Valerie in a Quentin Tarantino film. I mean, when you think about his appreciation for 70s cinema, and he's always taking these actors and bringing them back and giving a new audience a chance to appreciate their work. Man, I think about what she could have done in a QT movie. That would have been amazing.
Oh, 100%. I mean, come on. He resurrected John Travolta's career. If it wasn't for Tarantino, Travolta probably would have been kind of done after that. I mean, come on. He was talking things before that.
Yeah, he was on like the third Look Who's Talking film. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, okay, there's John Travolta. Okay, that's cool. But like in like a Pam Grier, like,
oh yeah,
I agree. If I don't know, the right thing would have come up or whatever. Yeah, she could have been amazing in a, something of his, a Kill Bill or who knows what. But just for her to pop up in something would have been like a nice tip of the hat to her work in the 70s.
Yeah. We had talked, I mean, I know we've talked about Bridges a little bit, but their second film that they did together, 2005, The Amateurs. What can you tell us about it? This is one I haven't seen, Stacey. So what can you share about it?
Well, it's a very interesting movie, and Jeff Bridges said it was his favorite movie he ever did.
Wow.
What it's about this, it's about a small town, and it's these guys, and they decide that they want to make a porn film, and they know nothing about porn. They just decide they want to make one. So they're literally using everybody and anybody in the small town to make this dream come true. And Valerie's a waitress, and I guess they're going to shoot some scenes with her, and her scenes, I think, in that are with Wim Fichtner. But if you haven't seen the film, you should see it. It's got literally.
I'm going to now.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's got like Louis Pantaleone. Who else? It's got a ton of people in it that you just wouldn't think would be together. Oh, what was his name? We said it earlier. The guy with, he was in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And
Tim Blake Nelson.
Tim Blake
Nelson. Yeah.
These people are in that movie. It's like a really interesting, fun little movie to see.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, we're talking about an interesting movie, a fun movie to see. Let's talk about her performance in 2016, a film called Silver Skies. And I know you know quite a bit about this one, Stacey.
Oh yeah, I can tell you about this one. This is interesting. Let's see, what can I tell you about this? What can I share? I'll
first off,
go ahead.
Oh, well, I was gonna say, if I could just start.
Sure.
It's 2016, and she looks incredible. The first shot you see where she's tending to the flowers, you're like, wow, like, what is her secret? Like, she looks incredible, and she's amazing in this film. I mean, this is such a great picture. I would tell everyone, Brad, you want to talk about, underrated films that we need to let people know to see. This one, Silver Skies, it's a heartwarming tale. It's very endearing. I loved it, Stacey. But yeah.
Yeah, well, it gets her. She's with there's so many great people like George Hamilton, who's a longtime friend of Valerie.
Hamilton's, yeah. Oh, he's incredible in it too.
So good in that film. And I'll tell you something afterwards about when I interviewed him, which you'll think's funny. But yeah, so there were all these great people in it. Alex Rocco, the great Alex Rocco, before he passed.
Yeah.
But I called Valerie one day she's like, I can't talk right now. I'm meeting with the director. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So anyway, I go over and I talk to her, and she's like, oh, I met with this director. And Valerie, at this point, she had a little bit of a tremor, like she was shaking a
Yeah.
little. There's a few
Hmm.
little things starting to happen. And I said, did you tell her what's going on with it? She's like, I told her there she's good with everything. The director was Rosemary Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. Yeah.
She does a ton of TV stuff, and this was like her. She wrote this and directed it. It's a great film, and so she's like, "Don't worry, they're going to take care of everything." Like, great.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a scene with Jack McGee, a couple customers at the racetrack kind of busting his chops. Was that you I saw? Because this,
Oh, me?
yeah.
Since I was there, they would be like, "Oh, hey, Valerie's not in this. Can you just be extra in this?" I'm like, "Sure." There's actually, I pop up in two different things as two different people. Yeah, I popped up in that movie. I think they put me as I'm track regular.
Yeah, you're like one of the regulars up there.
Yeah.
Everyone's giving Brad. It's Brad. I know you're a fan of Jack McGee, and man, people just busting his balls in this scene, and
Mm.
and we're talking to one of them, man. It was
He's
cool.
great. Oh yeah, because he's in line. That's right. He's in line. Everybody
Yeah,
behind him is like, "Come on, hurry up!" And
yeah,
I look around, I'm all annoyed or something. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like he's
yeah.
great. Like that guy. Come on, Jack McGee.
Hmm.
I mean, geez, the fighter. That
Oh,
guy's like such an amazing actor.
I don't think I knew him until, I mean, obviously I remember seeing small things that he had done, but when he did Rescue Me with
Yeah,
Dennis
Rescue Me.
Leary, that's where I became like a Jack McGee fan, and seeing this, I was like, oh wait, Valerie's, her last movie was in 2016. I got to check this out, and I was just blown away. Brad, definitely put this on your list. Listeners, put this on your list, because if you're a fan of the funny Valerie, if you're a fan of the dramatic Valerie, if you're a fan of the sexy Valerie, you're going to be happy, because she's doing it. She's doing all this in this film, and I just loved her performance in this one, Stacey.
Well, I'll give you one more, and you can keep it or cut it out, whatever you want.
Sure.
There's another one. So in the middle of filming, um, we had a couple of days off. Like they were still shooting, but Valerie was off for a couple of days. And she had this episode, this little thing happened to her, and I had to take her to the hospital and whatever. So she had to stay overnight, right?
Hmm.
So they could, see what was going on with her. And her whole thing was like, I have to work on, let's say this was like Monday. She's like, I have to work on Wednesday. I have to be out of here by Wednesday. And like, my friend who was a producer came over while we're in the hospital and is running lines with her and all this stuff. And, she gets out the day, like Tuesday. So she has a day before she goes to work. And so I tell her, because the thing she's going to shoot when she goes back Wednesday, her character's in the hospital, if you remember. So I
Yeah,
think
she has that.
I don't want to give it up, but she's
Yeah,
in the
there's a reason for her to be there. Yeah.
yeah. And so I said, when we're leaving, when we're really leaving the hospital, I said,
Hmm.
leave your hospital bracelets on. You can use
Oh,
them in the movie. And literally,
yeah.
she had been in the hospital the day before she shot this thing where she was acting like she had been in the hospital, and it's a really I don't know if heartbreaking so much, but it's a really emotional scene with her and
It
Alex
is.
Barker, who there's another great actor who
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, there's another guy I feel like, I feel like he's in some great stuff. I don't think
Mhm.
he got his due as much as he really should have for as great an actor as he was. And
Yep.
I became really good friends with him. Like he was the sweetest guy. So,
Well,
yeah.
and he's a sweetheart in the movie too. His
Oh
his
yeah.
character, he's
You've
absolutely
really
sweet.
seen him as like the tough guy
He's a
or
he's a
something.
heavy usually. Yeah.
He's heavy. In this movie, he totally, you're just like, wow, that guy's like so sweet. You feel so bad for him because
Oh yeah.
he wants to be with her so badly, and she's
Hmm.
just kind of until finally, whatever
Yeah.
happens. But
Yeah.
it's like so many great people in that movie. Again, it's one of those movies I think a lot of people don't know about, because it wasn't like, like a big theatrical movie, but it's a really fun movie with some, again, some of these great actors and actresses, like
Mhm.
Barbara Bain is in it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Mariette Hartley, come on.
yeah. It's surprising because like you think you're gonna watch, like, even from the trailer, Brad. I know you watched the trailer, so you almost feel like it's gonna be like a quirky, fun movie, but there's some heavy scenes. There's an uncomfortable scene, and again, I don't want to give anything away for people that haven't seen it, but Stacey, you know what I'm talking about. There's a bit of an uncomfortable scene, but it necessary for the plot, obviously, but just spectacular performances all around, I think, and it's definitely one people should check out. So
100%. I want to throw one more in. Sorry, I don't.
sure, no, keep them coming, man, keep them coming.
Um, can't stop the music.
Brad, you wanted to talk about this one, so I'll let you guys talk
Well,
about it.
I feel like in the documentary, it seems like kind of a bad decision of some sort, but you got to think what was being thrown at a lot of these people at the time, and disco was a thing. Luckily, it was for a very short amount of time, but
Yeah.
you had Olivia Newton-John doing things like Xanadu, and then, I mean, I don't understand it, but Saturday Night Fever was a giant hit, so it made sense. Jump on this now before it wears out, and it just missed that window. But that was the attitude at the time, and I mean, David Arquette talked about how much he likes it, and in your film. So I mean, every film has an audience somewhere. So whether it was what some people would say a bad decision on her part, but you know what, she has fans of that film, and especially her in it. So I mean, I don't think it was a bad decision.
Well, I'll tell you about that film. The thing is, on paper, it probably all looked really good because Alan Carr was producing it, and he had just done Grease.
Right.
It was the biggest, one of the hugest movies of the 70s. That was his movie. He's the one who brought that thing to fruition. That was him. The Village People were huge. Disco was huge. All these things were like, okay, this seems great. They want Olivia Newton-John. They wanted her. She turned it down to do Xanadu, which didn't help her either. You get into the whole Razzie thing with both of those movies. I think actually, Can't Stop the Music was the first winner of a Razzie.
Wow.
Thing, which makes sense. But so yeah, on paper it all looked good. And the weird thing is, Nancy Walker, who was the quicker picker up lady from when we were, she directed it, which she'd never directed a movie. But according to Valerie, Alan Carr was also he was a producer, but I guess he was a manager or something as well. Nancy was one of his clients, so whatever he was paying her, I guess he got 20% back.
Oh wow.
And she literally, Valerie's like, oh, she didn't know, the cameraman or the first AD or whoever was, that's who really directed that film. She was like, she didn't know what she was doing. But yeah, but the crazy thing is about that film, I mean, so many crazy things. But now, again, all these years later, if you watch it, it's got a cult following. If you sit down and watch it, it's literally like, if you go into like, I'm just going in this to have fun, it's literally like get into like a time capsule of this period of, gayness and disco and Bruce Jenner and everything. It just all rolls into this thing. And then you watch it and you're like, oh, this is fun. It's not a great movie, but it's fun, But yeah, I think it bombed, first off, because disco totally, like when in the middle of when they were making the movie, disco died.
Yeah.
So that hurt it before it was even finished,
So
one thing, you get Bruce Jenner in there. Come on, he'd never acted.
Yeah.
In the Village. I mean, come on, that you can't get more 70s than like that kind of mix right there,
No, and like you said, on paper, sounds like a hit.
It should be a hit on paper.
Grease, perfect. Who's a big disco people right now? Village People. We've got a hit. We've got a hit.
Do we have an athlete? Bruce Jenner. Get him. Okay.
That works.
Sex symbol, Valerie Perrine. Get her. Yeah. it should work. And
Yeah.
okay, well, one thing, Stacey, I know we had talked earlier this week about some questions that we were curious about from Valerie. You were good enough to speak with her, and provide us some answers on her behalf. So one thing that we were looking at, if you could, again, you're sharing Valerie's words with us. Who did she most enjoy working with?
I mean, there's a bunch of people, but right off the bat, it would be Dustin Hoffman and Bob Fosse. That experience for her was just, I mean, you had two of the greatest people in the business at that time. And well, Hoffman still, of course, but that movie, again, she just loved that movie because, again, there was so much talent with those guys. But she got to have fun. Because, here's a story that'll go with that to show you. And I should have told you this earlier. So one day they're shooting on location in Miami. And so there's all a sea of, all these people there. And back then it was like, Miami was like more of a retirement kind of older people place. So there are all these fans outside, here to watch, to see some filming. And so at this time, it's like Dustin Hoffman and Robert De Niro and what's his name? Dark-haired actor, Al Pacino, right? So I mean, these were like the huge movie stars of the time, and so Dustin's gonna come out in a few minutes, and Valerie goes out into this huge thing of all these onlookers, and she said, "All right, everybody on this side, when Dustin comes out, I want you to yell, Robert De Niro." Everybody on this side, I want you to yell, Al Pacino. And she's like, I want just a couple of you people to say, Dustin Hoffman. So when he came out, they did it. Everybody was yelling all those things, and he threw down his he threw down his script and said, "God damn it, where's Valerie?" I mean, funny, it was like that kind of stuff. They could joke around and have a good time. So that movie, I mean, she's done a lot of great things, but that's one of the top experiences of working. She just loved working on that film with those guys.
Well, if we could stay with that film for just a minute, did she recall her initial reaction to being nominated for Lenny?
She didn't think she would win, which is pretty odd because she had already won BAFTA and she'd won Cannes. She'd already done those things, So, she was excited or whatever, but she said in her mind she didn't think she would win. She took her brother as her escort, we'll say. I don't want to say that sounds weird. But when you see that clip, when you see them calling out everybody's names, and you see all these other women there, they're really like, you can tell they're like, I gotta win.
They're chomping at the bit.
Oh yeah,
she's just like,
and then as soon as they're like call out the name, you see them kind of do, they're kind of like fake thing, but you literally see she's like. You see this thing of excitement, joy come to her for who won.
Yeah, she is that I watched that clip earlier today. She is genuinely excited and happy for Ellen Burstyn in that moment. And you're right. Like the rest of them are like, oh, they're doing like the fake golf clap kind of a vibe to it. You could just tell she's having a blast being there and being part of the situation. Yeah. We've talked about some amazing roles that she's done. We've pointed out a lot of her roles, they show a lot of strength. They show a lot of confidence. They definitely have comedic timing down. Out of all the roles that she's played, which one is the most Valerie? Like, like if like whether it's whether it's Honey or whether it's Teschmacher or, Montana Wild Hack, like, who really, like, is there a Valerie amongst all those great characters where she was just kind of being herself?
Well, I asked her literally, right? I was over at her house right before we got on. That's why I was running a couple of minutes late. Um, but I was like, who, like, all these movies you've done, like, who do you think is, the closest to you? And she said, Miss Teschmacher.
Really?
Nice.
Well, I
I
mean, I
love
think
it.
you can't really say honey because
Well,
that's
yeah.
Yeah.
a whole other thing.
Yeah.
I can throw something in about that in a second about her and honey and Bob
Yeah.
Fosse. But no, she thought, she said that, just, you know, it, there's a little bit of her in that, in the
Mm.
Teschmacher role, just because there is something. She's not a victim. She's not weak.
No.
She's,
Hmm.
there's just something in her, where you see her and you fall in love with her. There's just
Hmm.
something about her. But
Yeah.
she said that, and what I was gonna say about what was it? So after she did um Lenny, because that was a really deep, dark thing, and
Hmm.
so she kind of was enjoying herself for like 6 months after that. She was kind of still, she'll say she was like, I was drinking a little too much or whatever. She kind of got into that kind of this headspace thing, and she said that Fosse called her up, because they would talk and stuff. And one night they were on a call, like, late at night. And he's like, Valerie, you're not honey anymore. You gotta let it go. That's not who you are.
Hmm.
You gotta be Valerie again. And she, you know, did it. I mean, it wasn't like she was like, I'm not saying she was like an alcoholic or anything like
Well,
that.
yeah.
She just was into this, because sometimes you see it with a lot of actors. If they go really deep into something, it's hard to. Shake it, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
So
Well,
she,
they, yeah, a little bit of that method acting, and then the roles with them for a little while, right?
yeah, especially when you're living and breathing that person for, what, 3, 4, 6 months, ever how long it
Hmm.
takes. It's hard to turn it on and off sometimes if you've been in it for any amount of time.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Like I remember her telling that story on a few talk shows. So that was it's pretty interesting.
Hmm.
Oh wait, I think
Awesome.
did she do it in the documentary? I think she might have said it to Regis Philbin in the documentary. I can't. You got to remember, I've because it's my movie, and I've
Yeah.
literally I went through it so many times and pieces here and there. I
Yeah.
feel like she. No, she didn't say it. She talks about, like, I remember what she does. She talks to Regis about Dustin said, a role like this only comes around about every 7 years. That's what she
Yeah.
talked about. But
Yeah.
it also says that it's not in the documentary, but it's in that same interview.
Mhm.
Sorry.
That's all right.
See, I get it confused. I can't remember what's in the movie and not.
So you've done the film. I mean, I loved it. Jeff loved it. And I think another great thing about the film is that you're going to go down a rabbit hole of wanting to see a bunch of other films
Oh yeah.
that she's been in. But what are you working on next? Are you working on anything next? And where can we see it? When can we see it? What's going on?
Things I'm working on. I've got a few documentaries that I've been working on, different parts. There's one thing about an American Ninja Warrior, a female American Ninja Warrior that
Hmm.
shooting for a while. Jesse Graff. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember.
you're doing something on Jesse Graff?
Yeah. So
Nice.
Jesse's really cool. So there's something with her. There's I mean, I've got a few things, here and there, and then there's some feature stuff. My buddy that I was mentioning earlier, I didn't ever say his name. My buddy, his name's Aaron Harvey. He actually helped me with a bunch of the post stuff on the documentary, because
Hmm.
I never made a documentary or a
Hmm.
film. I shot, but I was like, okay, what do we do now? So Aaron did a movie. He did a movie called Catch 44 with Bruce Willis and Forrest Whitaker and all these people, and uh, he's done a bunch of stuff. The Neighbor with William Fichtner, and Into the Ashes, and all this other stuff. But anyway, so Aaron's my homie, and like we do some stuff together. So there's like some, uh, some regular, like, not like feature film type stuff that he's written scripts for, and we're trying to see who's interested in those. But yeah, just me documentary wise, I've got a few things. Looking for money. Anybody out there?
Hmm.
to get into the movie business. But yeah, I've got a few things. There's another thing that I'm a producer on about. It's restructuring the school lunch system. Like it's crazy, like how messed up the lunch system, like the food that kids get, where they could be getting all this good nutritious stuff. I mean, there's a whole like backstory to that one, but that's another really cool project that actually has a lot of could have a lot of social impact.
Yeah, my wife's a high school teacher, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, Stacey, as far as Valerie goes, where can our listeners, where can they see this? Where can they get their hands on it? Where can they check it out?
All right. Valerie is available. I'll throw out a couple things and I'll give you the easy way, but it's for rent on Amazon. It's on iTunes. It's on Apple TV. It's on, Google Plus. The easiest way to find it's on DVD as well. But if you go to valeriemovie.com, that has all the links to it. So it's kind of easier that way. But yeah, if you're just on, if you're on Amazon, if you look up Valerie or put her name in, like it'll pop up. It's just a rental. And I don't know what it is, but.
Okay. We have talked about Valerie's condition throughout this episode. There is a way that listeners and her fans can get involved in and help her out right now, right?
Yeah, there's a GoFundMe set up for her, and all that money goes to help with her health care, her just needs that she has, and that's, like I said, it's a GoFundMe. You can go and put in Valerie Perrine, or there's also a link on valeriemovie.com. And, that's, here's the thing, everybody thinks when you're talking about actors or anybody like that, you're like, oh, they were in these big movies. Everybody's rich and lives in Beverly Hills and all that stuff. And it's like, that's not the real world. I mean, of course there are certain people, like a Dustin Hoffman or whoever that has worked steadily for whatever. But again, when people get older, things happen or whatnot. But yeah, she, as from the movie, she lives in like a 1-bedroom apartment in LA. So, but yeah, it's just supplemental money to help her with her needs while she's battling Parkinson's.
Okay.
We can put that up when we release the episode. A lot of the information. We can
absolutely, we will.
Stacey,
first and foremost, we definitely want to thank you for your time today. We were very just excited to have the opportunity to speak with you about Valerie, about your work, about this amazing documentary. So we can't thank you enough, honestly.
Yeah. And thanks. Yeah. And for making the film, because I think, as much as I think that myself as a cinephile and stuff, there was so much information in the film that I wasn't aware about. A lot of people think, oh, it's the Superman girl or it's the Lenny girl or something like that. You need to see this film, and you need to know the caliber of people and talent that this woman has, stand toe to toe with, and you forget those things. And, one thing a documentary is supposed to do is to inform you. And I think it did a great job of informing me and wanting more. It's saying, okay, well, now I want to watch this, or I want to find out about this, or, you're not just informed about the films that she's done and the people that she's worked with and the great performances. You find out about, Parkinson's, what it really is, what people need to go through for this, how Hollywood, treats its certain people, but how a great personality can give you long friendships, like, with yourself and with all these other actors and directors and stuff. So I thought it was very informative, and I'm so glad that I watched it. So thank you so much for making it.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I know we're wrapping up now. I got all these other things in my head that I want to tell you guys.
Sounds like Brad. Sounds like we could maybe get it back for a sequel.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, again, thank you for everything you said. But yeah, that the reason I made the movie, I wanted to share her story, but also I didn't want her to be forgotten, which sounds weird if you're a fan, but
Mhm.
people are always like, when you say, oh, she was in Superman, they go Lois Lane. I'm like, no, 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 no. And I just wanted to show her spirit, and just to show her how courageous she is with what she's going through.
Mhm.
And again, to bring her kind of back into the light of people that maybe had kind of forgotten or hadn't seen her in a while, just to kind of, share. I wanted to share who I know Valerie
Mhm.
is with the world that doesn't know her the way I do.
Mm-hmm. And I thought you got a
Absolutely.
good variety of that with, a film that's 36 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's so much in this. And usually when I'm watching films, when I know we're preparing for a show, I'm always trying to look at other things in the film to comment on or things like that. But I was too involved with her story and what's going on with her. I forgot to look around at other things to comment on that I liked and stuff. So I'm definitely gonna have to give it a rewatch to see those other things, because I was just so involved in it. And then it ended, I was like, damn it, I forgot to look at all that other stuff.
Well, Stacey, you earlier you mentioned that it's gonna be a movie night with Valerie, so we don't want to hold you up any longer. But if you would please extend our love, our gratitude to this
Please.
incredible woman, and just let her know she's on our minds, she's in our hearts forever, and we appreciate everything that she's done in her career.
We hope she likes our episode.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's
I'll definitely show it to her when it's ready, man. Believe
All right.
me, I see her several times every day. Like, I mean, I see her all the time. Um, but yeah, she like I said, I know we're wrapping it up, but there's just there's just something special inside of her that you aspire to be better when you're around her, when you know her.
mm-hmm.
What I mean, I don't know if that makes sense, but
That
she's just one of those
It
special.
does after you watch the film.
it
Yeah,
makes perfect
Yeah.
sense
Yeah,
and
it
very well
does.
said. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, again, the film, what you did, it's definitely a love letter to Valerie, and it's done very genuinely. So
Yeah.
thank you for that, Stacey.
all right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
This is Valerie Perrine. I'd like to thank A Film by Podcast for this special episode.
Won't you come on over? Stop making a fool out of me.